Alright guys, well welcome back to another episode of Our Old Farmhouse. As you guys can see from the thumbnail today, we had the fire department out at our homestead, and apparently we were breaking the law, and a concerned citizen noticed and decided to call the fire department on us. And I'll be completely honest, the information that I'm going to share with you guys in today's video, I had no idea even existed. And apparently, from what I could read, we were actually breaking the law. So I did, like I said, want to share that information with you guys. Even if you're not homesteading here in Michigan, you know, it could still apply to you, or something similar to this could apply to you. And I just want to kind of go over the story with you to see what your guys' feedback is, and to see if you guys are understanding these the same way I am. Now, I do have some information I'm going to share here in the video, and I will try to link that down in the description below. Like I said, this is not clickbait. This is actually what happened. It really kind of threw up our vlogging schedule for last week. We missed one of our days because they actually showed up in the middle of me preparing to get out to record for a vlog. Now, last week, and I'll just start from the beginning. Last week, I was outside working here in our barn. We're installing some new slanted nesting boxes for our hens. And while I was out here, I was cleaning out our barn, cleaning out the coop. We moved here in May of 2020, so it's only been a couple of months, trying to get everything straightened up, everything taken care of. And I had come across some just scrap pieces of wood, a couple of old paper bags, like feed bags that are just plain brown paper. I had some garbage bags. I was filling them up, and I had maybe 2 or 3 garbage bags. I had them outside of my coop. Again, I had that couple of pieces of wood, and then the old nesting boxes that we had back behind me in the coop. They were the plywood prefab ones that you can buy at like TSC or Family Farm and Home for like $8. And as I was pulling them down, I was planning on saving them, but one of them broke, and it broke in a way that I can't fix it. And for $6 or $7, I'm not too worried about it, especially with us replacing them already. So I pulled them down, I put them in the back of my tractor, and after I had a little bit of stuff, I went back and I started burning it in our burn pile that we have. And I was outside here for probably about 45 minutes, and I kind of finished up in here, went inside to start dinner, and as I was cooking dinner, 2 men came to our door, knocking on it with some thick overalls on, and honestly, I thought they were from our electric company, Consumers Energy, just by the way that they were dressed. And so I went, I answered the door, and before I go into any more of this, I do want to pause for a second and say the firefighters that did come out here were super polite. They were super nice. They hung out for probably 40 minutes, kind of talked some things over with me, kind of gave me a little bit of information. So I do want to put that in here right now, but I still was very upset by the experience, and I really do feel like we were kind of wronged in the way that it was handled. But back to the story. So they knock on the door, I go and I answer the door, and I'm asked if I can step outside. And I said, you know, what's this pertaining to? And they let me know that they were here from our township fire department because there was a fire, and they wanted to know if I had started the fire that was out behind our barn. And I had told the firefighter, yes, you know, I was aware of the fire. I started the fire. I said, is there something wrong? And the firefighter said, well, it's against the law. You have to put it out. So I kind of looked at him for a sec. I was really confused as to what he was talking about. And I said, okay. And he says, well, can you put it out, or do we need to bring a hose back here? And this was a very small fire. And I said, well, I guess let me grab my boots, and I'll grab a bucket of water, and we'll go outside, and I'll put it out. I'll check on it. I guess I'll see what's going on. So I ended up turning around. I put my rubber boots on. I had one of these gallons of water that we used to come out here to fill our chicken water and our rabbits water. And it literally had a half of a gallon of water in it. So I picked that up. I walked with the firefighters back across our property, which you can see from the road. And sure enough, you know, the fire's going, and there's literally a flame, maybe a foot tall. I honestly would say probably under a foot tall. And that was it. And the firefighter said, well, you have to put this out. It's against the law. So I asked him, because we are kind of close to where the village and the township meet. I said, is this a village ordinance, or, you know, what's going on? He said, no. it's against the law to burn like this in the state of Michigan. And I said, okay, so I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to fight. I've always been raised that when there is someone of authority, and a firefighter is someone of authority, to respect that authority even if you disagree, and then to follow up with it if you feel wronged. And I don't know what to do at this point, but I put the water on the fire, literally just splashed maybe 1/8 of a gallon of water total onto the flame, put the flame right out. And as I was talking to the firefighter, he said, no, it's a state law that you cannot burn, especially the way that you're burning. And he said, we had someone that had driven by your house, noticed that this pile was burning, and had called the fire department. And as we're talking, I said, well, I guess I'm really confused. And he said, well, you have some commercial products in here that you are burning, things that you've purchased from the store, which are against the law. He said, you have a scrap piece of wood that's in here that I can see, and he said, that's against the law. He said that in accordance that you cannot burn on the ground, which was news to me, that I did not have a safety ring around my fire, which is also against the law, which if it's on the ground, I don't understand the definite, where the fire ring comes in. It didn't make sense to me. But anyways, he was going on sharing probably 6 or 7 ways that we were breaking the law. And again, I was very confused. So I just said, respectfully, is there someone else I can talk to try to get some clarification on this? I put the fire out. We were just talking. And he said, yeah, you can call our fire chief, but he's going to give you the same exact answer. And he was kind of blunt on that. But, again, he stayed. We were talking. There were 3 firefighters in total. They brung up the entire fire truck, the whole 9 yards. And as we're talking about this, the youngest firefighter, he comes back to the pile, and I kid you not, with this large metal canister, just fire extinguisher, and starts spraying down the entire pile and around it with some kind of foam. And I remember stopping and asking the firefighter, I said, is that necessary? And he goes, oh, no, it's not, and stuff. He goes, it's fine. He goes, but we do have to make sure that it's completely out. Now, again, I was kind of concerned because God only knows what kind of chemicals are they spraying in my yard. And yes, I was burning stuff there, but again, the ground's frozen, and the snow on the top was kind of melting down. Not from the fire, but because it was warming up on it. I'm kind of concerned about these chemicals leaching into other areas. Now, I would say what we were burning was nothing that I would be concerned about burning in our yard. But again, that chemical, it does make me a little bit concerned, and they did not provide any information on what they sprayed. So as I was talking to him, he again told me that I could call the fire chief. He explained that because of the way that our taxes are set up, that I would not be charged for them coming out on that day, but that if I was burning again, I would be subject to a $250 fine. So kind of frustrated, I went inside and I talked to my wife, and she was very confused as well. Our kids were home. They were very confused. And I told her, I said, well, I'm going to look this up. And now, I've called a couple of people. I've called our realtor that we purchased our house from to see if he had heard anything about this. I've called a couple of people, and nobody that I've talked to knows anything about this. And honestly, to be completely honest, we had someone that stopped. Again, we moved here in, well, it was the end of April, first part of May of this year. We had someone stop about 2 months after we had moved in and tried to sell us a metal burn barrel for our garbage. And I explained, no, we didn't need one because our garbage is included through our taxes. And honestly, we're the last house that's the case. Everyone else that is south of us, they have to provide their own garbage service, and there are a lot of houses that do burn their garbage in one of those barrels. We used to live by someone that did that, and I, like I said, turned the individual down, and maybe a month after that, I had someone that stopped out. We were burning some wood on another occasion, and he was kind of talking to me, and he was asking if I understood that we lived inside the village limits, and I said, no, we actually live inside of the township. And kind of talked everything over, and he said, oh, he didn't understand. Like I said, we're kind of on the border, so I don't know. he said that we were not breaking any laws at the time. He was someone with the village. He did have to verify our address. I do not recall his name, but he left. And that was right the same week, I think, that we had someone stop out here and ask about the burn barrel. And so, like I said, after the firefighters left, after all that information that I shared with you guys, I went inside and I looked up the burn laws here in our state of Michigan. And I was honestly very shocked by some of the information that I read. And I'm kidding you not, there was 3 areas on here that I highlighted, and I'll pull it up for you guys to see. But regarding general open burning, Michigan air quality and solid waste regulations prohibit open burning that creates smoke or odor. Now, it does say nuisance at the end of that, but as it was explained to me from the firefighters, anything that produces smoke or an odor that I am burning on my property is against the law. I've never heard of this before. The second section under burning of household trash, which this makes sense. Public Act 102 of 2012 prohibits trash burning of household waste from a family dwelling with the exception of untreated paper. Now it goes on a couple of paragraphs, but he had cited us at that point for burning trash that was anything that would be considered commercially purchased. As he explained, anything purchased from the store. And then the third section on here that I wanted to read to you guys was burning of a commercial and industrial waste. Now, and included with what I was burning, there was a tree that was chopped down on our property prior to us buying the house. And the tree was cut up into firewood and placed behind our barn. And it's old, it's wet, I have nothing to do with it. So I've been slowly burning it as we've burned things. And according to this document, unless a company or property has obtained a permit with EGLE's Air Quality Division, this type of burning is prohibited with the exception of land clearing by authorized law. As authorized by the law. He said, according to him, this firefighter, that we could not burn anything that we chopped down or cleared on our property in the future. That if there was a tree that fell down, we could burn it where it was once we had permission from the fire department. But that as soon as we cut into it, it would be considered, and I'm quoting here, it would be considered a construction material and that it would be prohibited from burning. Now, I've lived next to where housing development has occurred, and I know that a lot of times when there's houses being built, there's extra 2x4s, extra just scrap pieces of plywood, stuff that generally contractors don't want to save, and they burn very regularly. I also know that a lot of farmers, including the farmer in the field across from us, who have cut down trees, who have cleared dead vegetation, put it in the pile in the middle of their field and burned it. And according to this document, according to what information was shared to us by our local township fire department, all of that is against the law. Now, I understand the firefighter thinking that we were just, burning haphazardly out there, if he thought, if there was a concern about that or if he got a call about that. But that wasn't the case. Like I said, this was a flame that was less than a foot tall. It was a flame that took maybe 1/8 of a gallon of water to put out. It was not necessary that, they literally went through with fire pokers poking it and spraying it completely down with foam without my permission. And like I said, I want to know what your guys' opinion is on that. Now, my kind of thought on this is I felt as if we were violating a code, either through our county, through our township, through our state, that unless the fire was crazy and gonna burn something down or was producing all kinds of thick black smoke, I really felt like we should have got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you're in violation of this law, this is a warning, please refrain from doing it again. And I would completely respect that. I would question it politely, but I would respect that. I thought that it was very unnecessary to have the fire department called on us to come out to our property, to then trespass on our property, back to inspect the fire, then to come up and demand that the fire be put out, and then to proceed to spray an unknown chemical on the fire, some kind of fire retardant, without permission to do any of that. So, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, maybe I'm not. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. I'll include a link to the document that I have here in the description. And like I said, I do apologize that we missed one of last week's vlogs. You know, I really wasn't planning on this happening, but you know, it did. Surprises like this happen, and hopefully we won't run into any other issues. But again, like I said, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Thanks for watching, and make sure you stay tuned to our upcoming vlog where we're going to be talking about some of the additions that we are doing to our chicken coop. I think you guys will like it. Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.